What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the Submission Fishing Podcast. We're doing Submission at Sea 2024. And yeah, we got some time to kill. So we're down here south, down in Mexico looking for some fish. So I got Adam, Papai, OC Fishing Slayer with us. How you doing, man?
Doing great.
Ready
Glad
to fish?
you,
Ready to get on them?
Invited me on this trip.
Yeah.
It's beautiful weather. Fish has been biting recently, and
Yeah. So you're
we're out here finally.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, like who you are, what you do. I know some of you guys that are local to SoCal probably know you from Instagram and stuff like that.
I'm just your average local fisherman that just wanted to, just post a little bit about my life of, what I do on my days off and just trying to get out there and fish. Love the offshore game, but recently been falling in love with this inshore stuff, or bass fishing, spotted bay bass, calico, sand bass. Been learning the whole new
If I'm going back to your
industry of fishing than just offshore tuna fishing, yellowtail, and stuff like that.
Right. So do you start like doing offshore stuff and then
I
move into?
Pretty much grew up doing offshore stuff like right away. I mean, I did a couple of trout trips and up in Mammoth, and but mostly, doing island trips with my pops. Lobster fishing.
Nice.
Going to San Clemente early on, trying to find yellowtail. Been to the butterfly, to the 43 when I was like 10, 12 years old. So
you've been around.
Did a little bit of everything since I was a little kid, and now I've just been getting into this spotted bay bass stuff. And
yeah, that's where like I kind of found you. It seems to be like this niche you found because you started pretty recently, right? It's not like your account's been blowing up like crazy.
I started this a year ago. I just wanted to just post some videos because I started posting it on my main account, and it's just like, people I go to high school with. Yeah, I'll have like a little bit of love here and there from, people that'll be watching my stuff, but I really just wanted to like see where, these videos can actually take me, and just off of just the basic stuff that I've been knowing. And I was using your jigs the year before I made this account, and it was just nonstop. I mean, it was just a nonstop bite. I mean, you're catching 30 to 50 fish a day in the bay, and it's like, what else are you supposed to throw when you're catching 50 fish a day? And I did that like throughout the whole summer and going into the winter, and I was like, I don't know, might as well start throwing some videos up, see where this takes me, to be honest.
That's pretty awesome. And you always fish the spotties, or is that relatively new too? Because like you said, you were doing like the offshore stuff. Did the spotties, was this something you always did, or are you just like recently leading into that?
Honestly, I did it like here and there, but like I'm not like how I do it now. Like, I mean, I'd probably go fish spotties maybe like 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh wow!
For any of this, like I knew like I knew about it, but like that I didn't know how much you could really get into it, and different areas, different locations, different types of structure zones you could fish, what bodies of water, like how deep they could really go compared to, I usually love fishing in between like that, like 4 feet to like 10 feet range, but know that these spotties can go down to, 20, 30 feet.
Yeah, 40 even sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like my PB came off of like 20, 25 feet. So it's like, just the fact that they can live down there in those structure zones, it's like there's never too much to learn, like enough, especially in the spotted bay bass game. Like there's a lot to learn of where these fish could be hiding, what zones they'll be in what season, front of the harbor, back of the harbor type of ordeal, just trying to keep up with the water temp. And
yeah, I mean, it's like any type of bass fishing, those people that don't know, that listen to this, like, that aren't from Southern California, the spotted bay bass, it's like, it's a fish that's really unique to, it only lives in Southern California, to like down to Mexico. It's like and they live in bays. They're not offshore. They're very local and specific to, inshores and inlets and stuff like that. So it's a really cool fishery we have. But yeah, like you're saying, as far as like the intricacies, it's just like any other freshwater bass. That fish in and of itself is like has its own, like you're saying, technique, following, can be caught 100 different ways. There's tournaments around it.
Yeah.
The spotted bay bass has kind of been this. It's grown here in Southern California. It's the saltwater version of the freshwater bass, where more and more tournaments are coming out every year. It's becoming a big thing. Money's getting involved, and even like
a lot of new people joining the industry of it, just not knowing that there's bass inside the harbor. Like you don't have to, you don't have to leave land. You can really short pound these fish, in certain areas where you can really get on them. And some moments you're fishing it like how it's freshwater, but there's a slow roll technique that you got to do, and depending on what areas you're fishing, you're just slow rolling the bottom and picking up different speed and techniques throughout the whole way of what lures you're fishing, jigs you're fishing, and swim baits, all that.
It was one of the cool things is like it's so accessible, and I think that's why it's become so popular. It's like, I've talked about this. I have, Brian, he's like wins the spotty bowl. He's like 6-time champion, but he's saying how we talked about this on one of the shows, how the spotted bay bass used to just be, people would go fish the bays, but they would just toss them back.
And
we still toss them back. Nobody really eats them, but people weren't targeting them. Most people were looking for like halibut and stuff like that in the bays, and the spotted bay bass were like a bycatch. And now it's turned into, it's like the fish that people are looking for. It's crazy just seeing the evolution. And
it just amazes me how aggressive these fish really are. I mean, from a 14-inch bass, if people don't really know about this spotted bay bass stuff, pretty much imagine yourself hooking onto a 4 or 5 pounds largemouth and 5 feet of water, and this thing's digging at you, like from the get-go and then to the finish. Like these bass are small grouper technically, so they have that aggressive fight from start to finish, and the teeth on them, the jaws, just the way that they're shaped. I mean, they could be enormous footballs, and they put up a hell of a fight every single time.
I think, that's like the allure. That's why everybody started fishing them, is just the fight that they provide with their size. Like it's pretty incredible. And you tell people about it, and they're like, yeah, sure. But it's like, when you hook one and you pull it up, you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
You see this tiny ass fish come up, and you're like,
yeah. 16 inches, you're like, all right, I want to see you, hold on to, 16-inch bass and peel them in on 15 or 10-pound line and work them out of structure zones. Yeah.
That's the thing too, is like they're not always, but a lot of times they're right around that structure. They're called, I think technical name is like spotted sand bass. So they live on the bottom usually, and they live around structure. They're on pilings, rocks, around anchors, and that's just adds that much more danger to it. And technique trying to get them out, because it's not like, you catch like a sand bass, for example, barred sand bass. They're usually out in the open, and sometimes in rocks, but you're not too worried about landing. I mean, the bay bass, they wrap you around pilings, and they'll find whatever they can to wrap you up. It's a lot of technique, getting those things in. I can't tell you how many I've broken off, like countless.
Oh yeah,
countless.
The mountains tournament I did in Newport, could have got first place, but I was a few inches off. But I ended up fitting that top 5.
How many
I had
people,
one
how
fish.
many people were in that one?
I think it was 68 people.
That's pretty impressive.
And so I finished top 5, but I had one fish.
Sure.
I think it would have been like my 3rd or 4th fish, but this fish was sitting in between a wall and a piling and a dock in like 1.5 feet of water. And for some reason, I had a feeling I knew there was a fish back there. I just didn't know what size, but if it was a good one, I knew it was going to be a really decent sized one. And when I pitched the 15 gram back there, the Sumo, and off the first pop, this thing instantly wanted to take me around the wall. And I was fully bent in my float tube, trying to just turn its head and just point them my way. And I have like guys on the gas dock over there in Newport, like, oh my God, he's bent. Look up. I'm like trying to like get him out while they're all doing that. And the jig just pops right out of its mouth. And this fish was in like 2 feet of water. That thing, it would have definitely put me up in front, but just like losing that fish in that type of a zone.
That wasn't a breakout. It was the
no,
jig
it didn't break
out.
off.
Wow.
It was probably just one hook in it.
Oh man, that's a heartbreaker. Usually when those assist hooks get in, it's like,
oh no, it's
usually
in
you get
there
them.
for sure.
That's crazy.
Every single time I take the hook out the fish's mouth, and so it takes me a little minute, like to get it out. But yeah, those fish get just stupidly aggressive.
Yeah, that's
which I
wild.
love.
What's your you go light? Are you like a light line guy? Like, what do you do as far as like leader? Do you go mono, fluoro? What poundage? What do you, or do you change it up?
I'll use a 200 size reel. So right now I have 2 reels that I'm rocking with. There's a 200 Tranks and then a 200 Penn Squall, and I'll have 40-pound braid on there. So some people might think that's a little bit overdose, but I use it for calico bass and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I mean, as long as you have a good little top shot of 15-pound mono or 15-pound fluoro, you're all set to go on that. You know, as long as you're not putting too much big of line, like 20, 25 pound, where your reel is thickening it up and is losing less space, and you need a lot of, I guess, more free spool speed when you're using those jigs.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to tell me, like, I like to use them slow, but like these spotted bay bass, they're ambush predators. So when something goes by them, they're quick to react to whatever it is. And you know, the Sumo is a perfect little bait, perfect little jig that mimics a bait fish that is just flying right past their zone. And 90% of the time they are reacting right to it right away. And
it's totally different bite. It's a reaction bite as opposed to finesse. You know? Which is weird because you think slow pitch jigging is like a real finesse fishing, but
like 10-pound line people think that they need to be using, but like 15 is good. You could possibly use 20 if you really wanted to. There's no wrong with that, but I felt really good with using 15-pound mono.
15,
a lot of people think I've used 15 fluoro. It's just, I think you could probably get more bites off of 15 fluoro, but when it comes to getting them out of structure and out of the pilings, it's like every 2 fish you're putting a new leader on, tying a new leader on. And I feel like for some reason with this mono, I've gone through 15, 20, 30 fish without, really breaking, just because I'm feeling the bite on the drop. I'm pitching it in the right zones where I know I'm not going to get them wrapped up, and I can fight them out of there. And
right.
There's just certain ways to pitch in certain zones, just so you're not too screwed if you hook a decent sized fish.
Yeah. So you prefer mono or fluoro?
I would prefer mono over fluoro, just because
I'm the same way. It's
that fluoro has that stretch, but for some reason that durability when it comes to that, and those bass aren't line shy. I've caught spotted bay bass on 30-pound mono before.
Yeah, I'm the same way. The fluoro is good for like, I think if you're fishing tuna stuff on the top, but like you're saying, or if you're finesse fishing, if you're doing a drop shot where you're putting some sort of bait in their face and they're looking at it for a long time and you're trying to get them out of their hole and eat it. I mean, I think that's where it maybe comes in, but like you're just like what you talked about, when you're dealing with a reaction bite, there's no need to go, fluorocarbon or super light. It's just, it's not that kind of bite. They're not looking at the line. They're seeing it. They're watching it fall and they're going to eat it instantly. They are or they aren't, they're not going to sit there and just
Yeah,
really look at
if
it.
they don't want it, they'll. I mean, I've seen them early spring. Well, they'll come up really shallow, close to the dock, and you'll see them just chilling next to the wall, next to the dock, or wherever, and it's clear water. And I've seen them, face and nose down the Sumo, like off the little pop, and they love that little flutter of it, and I've seen it a couple of times, but when I see it, I'm like, it surprises me every single time of like how aggressive these fish are.
Yeah, they are.
When when that Sumo drops right in front of them, and they're like shoulders out, ready to swing on someone, so it's like
right.
they just like they're ready to chomp on it right away.
Because it's interesting, and it's kind of like I don't want to say territorial. They do kind of live in groups. They're not like, how do you say that? Like you said, they're ambush predators. They don't roam around really. They're not pelagic, like calico bass. They don't swim around looking for kelp. They travel. But these fish, they got their zones, and they kind of live there. But there's more than one, so I think there's kind of like competition for the food. I think that's what makes them so aggressive. Is it's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
A lot of times you find one, there's more there because they group together, and I think that's what causes that aggression a lot. Is there's just not enough to go around, And then the big boys too. I mean, that's an advantage as well. It's like that. The big one's gonna eat first, for all the other ones.
I've definitely seen like a couple of spotties fight over the jig in like 3 feet of water.
Oh yeah, well I've got multiples plenty of times. The jig.
I'm still working on my 2 fish.
You haven't had a double up yet?
I haven't had it yet.
I've had so many double ups, where it's just. Well, you guys were talking about like the sloping jig. What he's talking about specifically is.
I've seen them fight over it, but
jig, So our jigs have 2 hooks. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, you probably are if you're listening to this podcast, but the jig itself has a hook on the top and the hook on the bottom. If you're fishing a 20, but even the smaller ones, maybe that's why, because we've only got that double hook on the top.
Yeah,
it's probably not as prevalent, but like on that 20 gram, they fight over it. And that's exactly why. Then they both get hooked, and it's so awesome pulling up 2 fish on one jig. It's like it's the best, man. Especially if you get like 2 different species too. Sometimes I've gotten like a calico and a sand bass, or a spotty and a sand bass, and it's so fun. It's just wild seeing like different species, on one jig, where you see you get a little
one
insight
fish
to how
from a
they're fighting.
trifecta.
Yeah. And what's happening is he's trying to take it from the other one. It sees that it's eating something, so Big Brother tries to come in and scoop it up, and that's wild. Yeah, if you're using the 15. I didn't really think about that. With just the top hooks, it probably is a little more difficult to get a double up.
I mean,
it's doable, but
I when it comes to that, it's the hook set. Those very rarely those hooks will be on the bottom of the fish's mouth. Those like on the pickier days, I feel where they're just like barely smacking it. But they're still aggressive with it. But they're like barely smacking it. But you'll start hooking them on the bottom. But those days where those fish are aggressive, it's always on the top of the mouth or in the corner of the mouth. Both hooks are just pinned in there. Sometimes I've gotten to the point where no hooks are in its mouth, and
it's wedged in there.
The Sumo is just jammed in its mouth. You can't close it.
That's funny. I've
had a couple moments like that. I'm like, Jesus.
I've had that happen. Not often, but maybe like once or twice. It's crazy. I caught an amberjack like that, where it was like wedged in its mouth and no hooks.
That video with you and Kevin. You guys.
We hold it up, and it's the same thing.
Yeah,
I've seen that with the spotties, man. That's wild. So how do you feel about are you like a color guy? Do you believe in colors? Do you have specific colors, or
honestly,
do you think it doesn't make a difference?
I feel like it depends if it's sunny or if it's cloudy. I mean, if it's sunny out, I'll use something like the Bream Dream or the confetti. If it's cloudy out, I'll probably switch more towards the orange pumpkin or the stellar shad. And the reason why I say this is because when it's cloudy out, I mean, I've had plenty of fish on the confetti during a cloudy day. Plenty of times, you're in the right zone, you put the jig in their face, you're going to get bit no matter what.
But when it's like a little bit of a harder bite, and these fish are a little bit more spread out, throw in something that's more real, not like, yeah, I guess you could say more realistic. So like the stellar shad mimics, you know, that anchovy, and then you got that orange pumpkin that mimics the mussels, crab, and then, you know, these fish are right underneath the docks, and there's lights everywhere in the harbor, so there's a lot of anchovies around. So when it comes to color, you know, it doesn't hurt to, you know, mimic other presentations that are around the areas, but on a sunny day where, you know, where these fish really don't care what comes by their face, I like to throw out those, you know, a little bit better colors. But I mean, even that Bream Dream, you can use that one in cloudy conditions, just because, you know, it's a sardine, it's a mackerel color. It still has that shiny stellar shad color on the bottom of it. It has like a little bit of red in it, so, you know, a bass picks that up. I mean, I've caught a couple 16s on it already, and I find them more during the day on that Bream Dream color. You know, sunny and bright outside, no cloud coverage.
Yeah. Seems to be kind of like that's our newest color, but a lot of people have been killing it on that thing. The Bream Dream's been like, it's been pretty
it's a
good.
gnarly design. Yeah. It looks amazing.
We did like the 3D. That one's got like the 3D print on it, like it's not just the foil.
Looks like it's just bleeding out.
Yeah. It's got the print on it, so which is different.
If I was a bass, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be all over it.
Yeah. So do you have like when you're catching like these spotties, do you like rotate baits? How many do you use? Are you like, do you go slow pitch, crank baits?
So,
or do you go paddle tails? Do you have like a pattern that you like start with every time, or is it just kind of different?
Just depends what area. So I just recently got a float tube, and I've been working a lot in different areas I haven't touched before. And there's I'll have like a small little A-rig set up, swim bait set up, and then I'll have my jig, my Sumo set up, ready to go. And during the summer, you'll find these fish more outside the docks and a little bit away from it. But I mean, they're still near some type of shade. That might not be holding structure as much, but they're near it. So I mean, I'll be throwing a lot of swim baits during the summer. I mean, I'll still be using the jig, but during the summer, you want to be more towards the front of the harbors. Right. I've been learning about like
copy.
I started off in the back of the harbors at the start of the summer, and I was like, where are these big fish at? I'm catching all these dinks.
Right.
You know? And then Sammy, good old Sammy, the goat, he was telling me, he's like, you gotta be in the front of the harbor in the summer because it's at colder waters up there. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Sammy, you guys don't know, Sammy's been on the show too, but he's a submission fishing pro staffer too, and I think you got third place in that tournament, right?
Yeah,
that you guys did. So
you got third.
You guys represented well, though. Yeah, Sammy's a good guy. So, and it's good when you can get people that share that knowledge with you, you know, because as fishermen, you know, nobody wants to really, they can point you in the right direction, but it's hard getting info. So it's guys that really want to help out, like him. You know, I'm kind of the same way. I don't really mind telling people where to go. I like seeing the sport grow and catch fish. You know, tournament fishing is kind of a different story, but when you can find those people that are willing to help, it's huge, man.
Yeah,
that's cool. You know, they help each other out. And someday somebody might have some info. You know,
exactly.
You help them, and they're gonna send you a tip. Like maybe it's just, hey, go check in front of that blue boat.
Yeah, Sam is a wholesome dude. He's a really cool guy. You know, he answers every question. He's always supportive on everyone's posts.
Yeah,
you know, he's a really cool dude.
And he's good too.
Oh yeah,
he kills some spotty bowl rounds, and he goes and wins tournaments, and man, he
definitely puts them on.
I think he's a sumo guy too. You guys ever use the Mercenary, or are you just like sumo purists?
So I started off with the sumo and like only the sumo when I was like short pounding a lot.
As I get works.
Now that I'm on the float tube, I feel like with that style of it, I can really shoot it underneath the dock a little bit more from an angle.
Yeah. Let it slide.
Now that I'm, I've been thinking about it, and even when I'm like bass fishing, like with T, when I'm on the boat, and we're fishing like kelp or whatever it is, that I was using the 40 gram Mercenary.
Yeah.
And learning how that one was working.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe I could really do something with this inside the bay.
It's
and
just
everything.
more of a. It's just the difference is like the Sumo slides. That belly carries it.
Yeah.
That's why you can get it under docks and pilings. It'll kind of move it. It wobbles.
Yeah.
And the Mercenary just more of a vertical fall.
Yeah.
So it flutters. It's a flutter fall, but it's just more vertical. So it's not going to really slide on you. But if you need, it's good for if you need to get just in front of a piling, or you're in front of the docks, it'll just pretty much go straight down. So it's.
Yeah.
But if you want to get around something, Sumo is definitely the way to go.
I'm
always curious. One person is they fish one or the other. It's weird. It's I made both because they have two different styles. Because I used to switch it up. Usually they either want one or the other. But what I'm finding is people are they're dedicated to one or the other. They don't really switch.
So once they feel like they have a couple of good weeks with one jig, it's hard to put it down.
Why even try the other one? Yeah, that makes sense. But I would do I'd fish the Sumo, and if it was kind of slow, I'd fish in the Mercenary or vice versa. And to me, it seemed like they either wanted one style, because they do have totally different falls. So it's I
was thinking that Mercenary, I'm gonna be working that one in the surf a little bit this winter.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm gonna see how it turns out for this halibut bite, because I've seen plenty of people work the jig in the surf, and
we got
just the way that jig is shaped.
You should
the flutter on it on the pop.
Yeah.
On the way in.
You should talk to Benji. Benji Kim's on the boat. He's on the trip, and that's what he does. He's a surf fishing expert. And he catches them the jigs in the surf.
Benji will teach me the ways. He'll take me to glory.
Yeah, we will. Maybe we'll probably do a recording with him too when he's up here, and you guys can listen to some surf fishing jig action. But yeah, he gets on them, and I'm sure he's got some tips for you. You did a video with it. It was mostly it's kind of a pop and retrieve. He was kind of doing a steady pop, as he was retrieving, and sometimes that's all you need.
Just keeping it a little bit off the ground.
Yeah.
Close to the ground, but off of it.
Yeah.
Those halibut come up and swipe at it every single time.
Yeah.
I've gotten quite a few halibut on it already.
Yeah, it's fun. The halibut are blast. Yeah, they got
surprising every single time they come up.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, what are you doing underneath the dock?
Yeah. Well, one of my biggest halibut I caught was in the dock, right under a boat in the docks. It was 32 incher, man. Jeez. It was a monster, and I thought I was snagged, and I was like, "Gosh, damn it!" You know what I mean? When that happens, and I was like, "There goes a jig."
You shake the rod tip a couple times, and it starts to actually move,
and the drag started pulling, and I was like, "Oh man, this is a fish." And then, how they fight. It was like pulling up a wet rag, and then it saw the kayak and made a run. But yeah, it was. I had no net. No, nothing. I just reached in and grabbed it and threw it in the kayak. But it was it's epic, man. The halibut are they're always that nice bycatch. You're looking for spotties, but the halibut are in there. So
it's a nice exotic that's hanging around the harbor.
Barracuda too, the Corvina.
Yeah.
There's always that.
I need to get in that Corvina bite.
Yeah.
A lot of people are catching them. I'm just like, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Well,
but even though
they're
I know what I'm fishing for, but
they're a little pelagic, so they're top water. They'll eat the jigs, but they're not really around the docks. They kind of do the circle and they swim around, So it's just a different. There's people that just really focus on those things and Western practice,
Let's do burritos.
Aaron Kruger, I don't know if you know him, but he knows how to fight. He's a San Diego guy.
I'm gonna ask.
Yeah.
He's really good at targeting it on those Corvina. Just to hit him up. You're probably giving some insight.
You met up with him earlier this week, right? Or the other day? Yesterday?
Aaron?
Or is that another dude?
That was
Isaac? Is that what his name is?
this week.
You were showing him the jigs in front of fishermen's landing?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what his name
Yeah,
is?
he just, Christian, I think.
Christian?
He saw me there and recognized me. And we've got a picture together. Yeah, we didn't actually meet up. So I was just showing. So what was happening was I was just showing jigs to some of the tackle stores. And he was like, "Hey, what's up?" I'd never met him before in my life. And it was like, yeah, I love when that happens, And then I gave him a jig, said, "What's up?" So it's always cool when people say what's up to you. I'm sure it happens to you too, you know, when you're out there
Yeah.
fishing and
A lot of,
It's
when
cool.
I'm short pounding a lot, I always have a feeling that people know who I am now just
Yeah.
because of
It's a
what I
trip.
do.
it's a especially when people watch these reels in California. It's like the fishing community is so close and tight. It's not really that big, you know. So
Yeah.
people watch. You know, you got like 10,000 plus followers. It's people are gonna know who you are. But yeah, the first time you get recognized is always a trip. It happened to me once, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
I was like, "How did you know my name?"
I'm pretty chill about it. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm just a fisherman like everyone else, you know.
Yeah,
And I'm just, you know, just trying to relieve my stress and, you know, get out
Document
for a
it,
few
yeah.
hours, catch a few fish, and
well, people like it. You know, it's
You know,
entertainment. It means
throw-
a lot to people.
throw a
you know?
couple videos up. You know, I watch my videos every single day, just to, like, look over the bite over and over and over and over and over again,
Right.
just because the size of the fish or whatever happened in the video. I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm a big fishing fan in general.
Yeah.
You know, I love fishing.
that's cool. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, you just
Yeah.
make the content and people enjoy. But it's like somebody that DM'd me the other day, and they were like, you know, they had I don't want to like reveal what was going on, but they were just telling me how, my videos and the podcast like help get them through like some dark time and stuff. And you don't really think like, I know that's never in the front of my mind, like, oh, this is out there helping somebody. But it's like, when you hear that stuff, you get a little choked up about it. Like,
100%.
you're doing something that people are looking forward to and watching. Like, it just means everything to you, especially when you start to get burnt out, you know. And it's like, the burnout's real. And like, you get to a point where you're like, man, I got to do content. I got to put out a podcast. I got to do a video. And then somebody comes and tells you that stuff or says what's up to you. And it just kind of reignites you, it recharges your battery a little bit. You're like, I got to keep doing this, you know, even if it's
I got
helping
some
other people.
messages of people saying like, "Oh, me and my son or me and my daughter love watching your videos every day and stuff like that."
cool.
I'm like, Jesus, like,
yeah, it's something
appreciate
you don't really,
it, you know. But like, I better watch my mouth sometimes, I guess. But
yeah. Well, they're like, I mean, my kids watch it. Yeah,
but you know, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, wow, like, I appreciate it. You know,
it really is cool.
Like, I don't really realize like how, like, you know, how much I'm doing with the videos, the stash and grabs, and
yeah.
if you guys don't know anything about that, I pretty much I
tell us
help
about
out
that.
my buddy, and he's got a fishing brand, and
Was that diversion?
a diversion. It's called Diversion Fishing
What do
Company.
you guys like? Primarily
his
apparel, right?
his name's Nick.
It's apparel based company.
Yeah, just apparel based company, shirts, hats, you know, beanies, sweaters. He also has like a couple like fishing sauces, good sauce for like trout fishing,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, just helping him out, and you know, I was trying to do it like in a fun way, and I
That's how
have
you
a
were,
lot of
you were
company.
eventually posting through diversion, right? So I
Yeah.
did feel like some of your
Oh,
content
no.
when you were tagging me and stuff that was like diversion fishing.
Yeah,
like a year ago.
I would sometimes I would send him the video.
Okay, maybe
And I
that's what
think
it
he
was.
would post it.
Okay.
Or I'll just collaborate with him. I don't honestly, I don't even.
This was a while ago.
So long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd throw in some baits and throw in some clothing, and everyone wants a 15 gram or a 20 gram. All these jigs that I've been throwing in, and
Great.
seeing people grab the stash and
explain
grab
us what
and
it is.
fish
Like,
the
so
next day.
You send a picture of a zone, right? You tell people where you're going to be, like at a certain time.
Yeah. So usually I'll tell people like a couple days before, 3 or 4 days before, what day, what location, and I'll post like a picture on Google Maps of like a 4 or 5 mile little circle of a spot of where the drop could potentially be at, and it's like in your local area, local zone where people fish. I'm not trying to like burn out spots, but it's gonna be like in the area of where
Right.
people fish and stuff like that. So I'll give them a good time of I'll be in the area from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and I usually try to give people time. I'll try to post it around 5 or 6, mostly just so people have a chance to get off work and stuff like that. And I'll make the post, and it surprises me every single time. It's like not even 5 minutes.
It's so decent.
Sometimes it's not even 2 minutes.
That's cool.
There's like 2, 3, 4 people hanging out on like each corner of the zone of the map of what I posted
before
of the
you get there, you
boundaries
gotta,
of like
like,
when you
sneak
get
in?
there, like people are just hanging out like
Oh,
in the
wow.
area. So you gotta like really be like wary about it of people watching you
Right,
and stuff
right.
like that.
I didn't even
Like
think
when you're
about
giving
that.
out free stuff. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened a couple of times that, you know, I'd be nice about it. And, you know, I say what's up to them, chat it up or whatever it is. And
That's cool.
but it's worked out pretty cool. You know, I've seen so many people catch fish the day after
Oh, some of the stuff
I gave
that
them
you
the
gave
bag
them. Yeah.
with how much lures are in there, especially the 15 gram that, you know, they've never used the jig before. And they caught 3 spotties and a
Yeah,
halbit
yeah.
already. And
That's
it hasn't
awesome.
even been
Yeah.
24 hours.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I do get those posts a lot. You know, I appreciate you for that too, because people realize, oh, I'm at Adam, OC Fishing Slayer.
yeah.
You turn me on to these jigs and they send me pictures of the fish. I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome. Sammy does that a lot too, you know. It's like,
You know,
sharing the love.
tired of people throwing a swim bait every single time and,
but yeah,
you know,
it's good to
getting
change it up.
sitting in the same spot. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I want to teach these people you gotta move and
Yeah,
get in different locations and
100%.
really get out there. I mean, it's not like you're offshore fishing. You got to move around 200 miles, but you know, take a good, you know, mile, 2 mile walk. You know, enjoy the fresh air. Well, pitch some docks. You know, pitch new locations, and you know, it's not like you got to pitch a jig. Yeah, throw a swim bait here and there, like in certain zones. It's like boom, and then switch over to the jig. It's
Yeah,
like
sure.
you know, you have your certain areas of where you want to fish and stuff like that, and but. I tell these people all the time, it's like you don't want to be sitting in a zone for 30 minutes to like an hour.
If they're not there, they're not there.
Yeah, like
That's good advice. I think people make that mistake where they just
it's like
you
they
keep
think
throwing it to the same spot,
Yeah.
or they're not there.
they
they're
see
gonna
my
eat it or they're
videos
not.
and they're like, it's like how come it's not happening to me? It's like I when I short pound, I walk 3 to 4 miles a day.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes even more than that. Like I go into zones where people won't go just because it's not bothered, it's not touched. Like I'm not hopping onto like a dock area. It's just accessible to
Right.
reach to where I'm at on a sidewalk. So
I can tell you. Listen.
Absolutely.
it's definitely interesting finding where these bass are located and what areas they're cold,
Sit outside.
Yeah,
what
man.
seasons of like, you know, the harbor, like what areas they'll be at, do stuff like that.
100%.
But
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Well, yeah, dude, I appreciate you for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad you're on the trip. And hopefully we'll have, by the time
Hopefully
you
have
guys
some
hear this,
blood on the deck right
hopefully you
now.
guys are seeing some like tuna content that we're posting, you know, on Instagram
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But where can people find you? What do you got to plug? I mean,
So I mean, I got TikTok, I got YouTube, I got Instagram, OC Fishing Slayer. Same thing, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
and you got a code too, right? So if you
I do have a
wanna buy some
code.
more stuff.
If you're trying to get into some of these submission jigs and really get bit, this winter fishing's coming right up. Use OC Slayer 10, capital OCS, and then all lowercase layer 10. You know, save yourself some money. You know, you right when you get on the app, you should already have another 15% added to your thing that
Right.
they're giving it to you.
Yeah.
So you're saving some money. You're getting good quality jigs. They last a long time. They work. They get bit. I appreciate you having me and
Yeah,
bringing
man.
me on this trip and introducing me to the jigging world and
Yeah, man. We're
keeping
glad,
me bit the whole
glad to have
time.
you on the pro staff, you know, and it's been good. So
So,
hopefully many more years.
oh yeah,
All right, Adam. Well,
appreciate
we're
it.
about to hit it pretty soon here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. Later.
Later.